All right, it's basically Monday, and it's Valero, aka Super Bop, ya boy. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh no.
But yeah, we're all here. Me and the crew, Johnny and do you? What name are we calling you? K Sponge? Is that?
Yeah, you can use whatever.
Yeah, K Sponge,
I'm
aka
not.
the legend.
I'm not calling you K Sponge.
I'm not.
Why
I'm
not?
not calling you that.
I don't know. It just feels like too much of a mouthful.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't flow.
Yeah.
Sponge.
Yeah. K Sponge.
Yeah, all the names we made when we were like 6 years old, and our dads were like, "Hey, we're getting internet. Make yourself an email account on AOL." I was like, "All right."
AOL.
I actually don't even remember like what my screen name what was the first thing I made it for. I'm pretty sure it was like BattleNet, or StarCraft or something.
How did
like
you
that.
get on BattleNet? Like, how did you have internet? You didn't have AOL?
No, we had dial-up. But
AOL
it was like
dial-up. What did you have, like MSN,
no,
or hot? Like,
no.
what was it like?
It was like something weird. It was like
It was
We
like
had We had like DSL.
it was like net because like there was a program you had to open up, right? Because like, and then it would connect. Like, what program was that?
it was like
Netscape?
it was like exec PC or something like that.
Oh, exec PC, and then from there you can get
Yeah, and then
that's
from there
hilarious.
we went to Netscape.
That's hilarious. Yeah, Netscape. That was it. Everyone
Jesus
had Netscape.
Christ.
What'd you have,
Yeah.
Judd?
I don't know.
You don't
I have
even
no
know?
idea.
What was your first memory of the internet at home?
It was like a box looking stark white computer that they plugged basically you plugged it in and like that was the time you basically couldn't use the phone.
Wait.
Because
So like, did you use it ever?
yeah, I used it, but like I wasn't involved with like setting it up. Like basically when I got to the computer it was already on.
It was just already on. So what did you
The-
go
I
on?
knew-
Were you on
I
like
bas-
AIM and like AOL and stuff?
No.
What the fuck? What were you on?
Maybe we were, but like I didn't set it up, so I have no idea how it worked. Like I didn't know anything about actual internet and how the internet worked until I was like like 15 or 16.
Holy shit! Are you
Yeah.
serious? So you
Yeah.
don't even know about what dial-up is? Like,
No, I know.
Really?
No. No, I know what dial-up is, and I know I know we had dial-up, but like the
No,
process
man.
for the
If
process
you
for
didn't
which like
have
how
to wait
that worked.
through the fucking noise every day after school to talk to your friends, you don't know shit. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Old man
But
yells
like,
at cloud.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I feel
holy
like
shit.
that was like an everyday thing. Like every day after school, I would go on AOL and like
if I wanted
yeah,
to
I would
talk
have
to my
like
friends, I would just call them.
you would
Yeah,
call
me
them
too.
like you didn't have like games.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Like I'd be chatting with my friends. I would go on like random online chat
Gaming?
rooms and just like say some random
No,
shit.
that wasn't a part of my life until like my teen years. Like
Holy-
chat
by
rooms.
then they had Wi-Fi and stuff, so you really don't even like know about the pains of DSL.
No, I do. I just didn't encounter it as much as you did because it wasn't ingrained in my life at that age that it was for you. Like I wasn't like sitting in front of the computer like super excited to like do those things. That wasn't my life back then.
What were
Yeah, it
you
wasn't my-
doing?
I would game, but like it was all single, like it was all console gaming. It was like anytime I did anything with my friends, it was all just like centered around consoles. That
And
was
like you guys never needed like cheats or anything?
Jeez.
cheats.
Yeah. Like, even when we had dial-up, I would be like, "Oh my god, I can't figure this out. Like, I need to look up the cheat codes," and I would go on like
No.
GameFAQs.com
Oh, okay, yeah.
and like
No,
print
dude,
off
that-
like this
that
huge
kinda-
stack of cheat codes or like console commands or something.
No, that kind of thing wasn't even introduced. I mean, I knew that existed, but like it wasn't a part of my regular life again until teens. at
That's
least.
crazy. I would say that's not normal. Like most people our age that I talk to have like a little bit more like experience with using
That was-
dial-up on a daily basis. And even
That
like
was normal
at our
where I
age.
was. That was normal where I was from. Like where we were, we didn't. I mean, we would go. The internet was interesting, but it wasn't like part of our it wasn't part of the everyday for us.
So like kids at your school were talking about like what shit went down in the chat rooms last night and shit.
No.
Dude, I feel like literally relationships were made on AOL Instant Messenger and stuff like in middle school. Like literally, like, yeah, people would start, like, I would leave school one day and I'd be like, these two people don't even know each other. I would come to school the next day, I'd be like, now they're dating. Like, how? I was like, yeah, we met in a group chat last night, like, on AOL. Like, how? Like, it's just, it's fucking, yeah, it was a whole world.
That makes sense to me, though, for you, John, because, like, I'm assuming where you were living, there's, like, a lot more to do. Like, all you have to do is, like, go outside and, like, you'll meet everyone. But for us, we're in a more, like, suburban area. So it's like, once we're away from school, the only way to contact those people is, like, on the chat rooms and, like, on the internet and stuff like that. Which is why it was, like, such a big deal for us. Because, like, the way when you're talking about this, it made me think of an interesting question. Like, if you had to, like, put a timeline of how you communicate with, like, your friends and family, like, from, like, the first instance that you can think of, like, to now, like, what would it be? Because for me, I think it would be the phone, and then probably the internet, and then cell phones, texting, and then social media, and then now, which is just like an amalgamation of everything. What about you guys?
Yeah, see, for me, it would have been regular phones, then texting. And so, like, and you guys were talking about the whole chat room thing. Like, that was like a blip for me. Like, that I looked at that and found out about it and looked at it and went past it all within like a couple of months. And then I would say social media. So yeah, so phone, texting, like general internet, like later teens, and then just straight social media mostly. And now it's just back to texting, I feel like.
Yeah, because my parents, like, they had I wouldn't say like an aversion, but they were like, why do you need to text? For like the longest time. But I think that was also because like it costs money for every single one that you sent. And it was like a revolution, like to think that like you just had like this thing in your pocket and you can just like send a message to your friend. That's wild.
Yeah, now that did take over during the time that Valera was talking about. Like, that was our thing. That was like texting and going over the bill was something I did regularly. Like,
yeah, I mean, that was also something that I did regularly.
But like the internet wasn't even a part of that for me. It was just basically text. It was like you got to cell phones. That was pretty huge, like, for us where we were. And yeah, exactly like you said. Like, I think I have a theory about that too. You were saying, Gouda, about like how parents didn't really understand why you needed to text. Like, I still think a lot of times, like, I think they're getting better about it now because they're starting to understand like the benefits of texting. Like, basically, your time is sort of your own. But I think when texting came out, adults at that time basically were not accustomed to having their own time and responding in their own time. Like, it used to be when someone called you, basically you were devoting the next 20 minutes to a conversation with them. And like, that's exactly what I don't like about phone calls now. Like, I don't like the fact that someone can call you and basically you're expected to, like, obviously you could not answer, but like if you pick up, you're basically expected to hold the conversation for however long they want to hold the conversation for. And then you're just committed to that. So I don't know. I feel like texting broke out a world of like, hey, you can just sort of have a conversation without needing to commit that same level of time to something.
Yeah.
True.
And it was only like that for like 10 years because like in the 90s, not everyone even had a cell phone. So like you couldn't ever, if you didn't call someone's like landline and they didn't answer, it's like, all right, that's it. You won't get them until like maybe when they come home and hopefully you're also home.
Right. And that might be why too, that like phone calls were so precious to them because like if you missed a phone call, like you might not be able to talk to that person for a while now. Like, because what if they called you, you didn't answer, and they left their house? Like, now you guys have missed each other, and it's over. Like, and you can't say anything to anyone about it. It's just like, well, who knows if when I'm going to hear from them again?
Right.
You know what I mean? So maybe maybe they just valued that more when phones came out, and they saw that the call as the more valuable part of cell phones.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, but still, I think it's like it's an efficiency thing. Like our generation sees efficiency differently than the older generation. Like, and I think it's still changing to this day that the people that are younger than us, they see efficiency as a way better thing than we do right now. Where it's like you do lose some things in efficiency because it's so quick. Like it's not personal. It's just like wham bam, and then like you move on. Um, and maybe that's why the older generation is so reluctant to like move into that type of communication because they appreciate and like getting to know like everybody that they're talking to, which is like I guess I can understand that, but for us, it's like, well, why do I need to like stay on the phone with them for 20 minutes to get to know them when I can just go to their like profile online and see anything I need to know and
Right.
more.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
I
need to talk to them.
So
I
then
feel
that
like
makes.
our go
I,
ahead.
I was gonna say that makes people who don't have like a skill of making like a good profile that can express themselves properly. Like then those people are essentially like unknown then because it's like right yeah if you can't look it up on someone's like profile and like you don't have a profile or your profile just says like 2 words and a profile picture and you can tell like they just don't use it much then it's like all right then like this person basically doesn't need to exist to me like it's like
Yeah.
what could I possibly know about them then.
Yeah. I feel like our generation is somewhere in the middle. Like, I don't think we completely devalue interactions together, like in face person to person or over the phone. I don't think we completely devalue that, but I think we also can appreciate the fact that there is a, like you were saying, Guda, like an efficiency to being able to spend your time the way you want and still communicate to people sort of on your own schedule. So like, I don't know. I I feel like I have a hard time just getting to know someone through text. It's like I only text people I already know very well. Like there are people I've gotten to know like online, but the what like crossed what made them for me cross over into like an actual friend of mine that I'm willing to share things with was the conversations that I had with them, like where I got to hear their voice and hear like how they thought about things. And I feel like without inflections and like emotional tones, like it's hard to know that through text. So I don't know that I can really ever like know someone if it wasn't through hearing their voice in some capacity. And like and I never seen them obviously.
That is interesting.
For me, it's the complete opposite. Like, I am way more comfortable getting to know someone through text first because I feel like there's no pretense or like barriers or anything else like influencing the situation. Because if it's like a phone call or like in person or like at some place, it's like there's all these other like stimuli that are gonna affect like how you're acting, how that person's acting, and I want to like get to know that person specifically. So it's like I feel like in text, it's like there's nowhere to really hide. So that's why I like it because I feel like I can get to know the person better, easier, faster, based on like what they write. Um, so, which I get is like also can kind of be like unfair. It's a bias, I understand too, because like I enjoy writing, but I feel like you get more out of it rather than if you're on a phone call, it's like, oh, well, they can hear my voice, so I should sound this way or I should act this way. Like those are the easy things to fake.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
That is
and you
definitely
can
true.
Yeah, I actually completely agree with you. I think you're absolutely. I should have made the distinction, but you're right. I think it's easier when you're first talking to someone, definitely through text. I guess I was talking about more of like crossing from an acquaintance to a friend. Like for me, for me specifically, that just happens more naturally through like physical. I'm saying physical because I don't have a better word, but you know, a physical conversation. You know what I mean? So like, if you're right, actually, most of the like friends I've met online, it actually did start through text, and it was easier to like say certain things through text. Because to your point, you're not trying to like there isn't this facade as there normally is when you meet someone for the first time. I think, or there's less of it. Um, yeah, I don't know. I wonder why people do that.
Yeah, it's funny because I mean it makes sense because I just noticed like because I work like half from home, so like when I do like calls at home, like I'll be sweating. Like I wasn't sweating before I took this call, but then like for some reason I'm just sweating after the call. Like and it's just like because it's like with a client usually, so I have to like make sure I've got like my professional voice on. I've got to be like snappy with my answers. I gotta not say anything stupid or like retarded or I mean whatever. But you know what I mean. So like I've got to come off a certain way. So like yeah, like at the end of it, it's just like you literally even though I didn't move a muscle.
You're canceled.
Yeah, I'm canceled. Yeah, I am canceled. Hey, I was born in the 90s. Hopefully all of our fans were also... You understand.
If you're still here, that probably did scare you away.
Yeah, probably not.
Oh
All
God.
you Gen Zers might be very touched, though. My apologies. I'm still getting used to it. Progress.
You are,
Yeah.
you are absolutely,
Old man super bop.
You are absolutely fucked. Watch what the internet can do.
Canceled. I'm going to get fired.
Oh my God.
No, I'm just kidding. So like, yeah, I'm just like, it's hard. It's like somehow taxing, even though I didn't even move a muscle. But like, I'm not sweating when I'm sending emails. Like, so like, it's just somehow easier. Like, so you do lose some things for sure through text, but like, yeah, you gain the efficiency. I guess that just happens with, has happened through human civilization and life, which does take us into our next topic. Does anyone else have anything else to say before I move us on?
No.
All right, yeah, it's convenient we started on that and somehow got to that because the topic we're talking about today is what will the next ability or trait that will appear that will kind of like signal that humans have evolved. Like, okay, this is definitely different from before. And like, honestly, like, I feel like this is a stepping stone at the very least. Like, not having that interaction, like, I can't even begin to imagine what sort of implications that's gonna put on our life, and like whether they be good or bad. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot. Like half our entire face was built for like human interaction. Like when you talk to someone, your face muscles are doing things you don't even understand they're doing, and they're to literally signal to the other person, essentially. Like I don't know what other reason that could possibly be for. But I assume like facial expressions are for communication. And that was crucial for our evolution so we can like work as a team and stuff like that. I feel like, and it goes even cross species a little bit. Like when my cat looks at me a certain way, like I already know what she's thinking. Like, so it's just like, it's pretty important. But like a world where you never really need to see someone's face. Like, yeah, we still have video chat, but like, if you really are just getting to know people through text, which I actually do like too, which text was going to be on top of my list on that listing you gave us earlier, like what was your top 3? Yeah, like I feel like I could get to know someone and become pretty close to them through text. So, and I'm just fine. Like sometimes I feel bad because like I haven't talked to my brother or like in like a year or like it was probably less than that. Like I saw him at my wedding, so it was less than that. But otherwise, we always just talk through text. And like, some people would just think that's weird. Like, oh, you haven't heard your brother's voice in like 6 months or 8 months or something like that. It's like, yeah, but I've talked to him. But it's just like normal to me. Like when I read the text, I get the expression, it seems like. So like, I feel like I can go almost forever without seeing someone. But as long as we text it, I would still feel like I know them, essentially. But yeah, like you don't need facial expressions or like any of that stuff when you're texting. You just need to know how to write.
So yeah, it's interesting that you say that about that you just have to like write, and it's kind of all looping back to the efficiency thing, and that it seems to me from all that I've read and like heard and watched, the reason that we as like Homo sapiens are like ruling the planet right now is because we developed the ability to like build and use tools, and we only did that for efficiency. Like we were like, man, it's way too hard to walk like from here all the way to the lake. Let's build this wheel so that we can like get our animals to like pull us. But at first they'd have to be like, man, these animals sure are powerful. We should make sure that they stop killing us and just listen to us instead. And then like I don't know, they use fire or like fruit or something. But the point is, like we develop tools to make it easier for us to live. And it seems like that's just like gonna keep on going and going and going. Uh, and it got us to like texting and the internet and all that stuff. So I feel like for the
Is
question today,
is that what evolution is?
yeah, it is what evolution
So
is.
people in the future are all going to be emotionless.
But yeah, it seems like evolution is just like getting to the most efficient way of being. So I feel like the next things that we have to tackle are like how you guys are saying communication, and then after that, it would have to just be like pure biological power. And that makes me think that we're gonna figure out some kind of way to either eliminate sleep or be productive in our sleep. Like we're gonna figure out a way to like unlock the secret of dreams because we still don't know that. Like scientists still don't really understand why we dream or like what's going on when that happens. But I feel like almost like how like going back to our last episode talking about video games and AR, we might get to a point where we actually like unlock the dream world and we can be actually productive in our dreams and it actually affects things in real life because it's all so connected. I know that sounds crazy, but that's where I think things are going.
Man,
What
at
about
that
you
point,
guys?
like, why be awake at all?
I know, right? But I mean, like we don't understand what this is, what consciousness is. So it's like when you say why be awake at all, it's like what is awake?
Yeah, that's true. If you're having more fun in your dreams than you are when you're awake, then like into the dreamverse you go, right? That's where you live. It's just like the same. Yeah, it's the same as like a VR world. Like if your life is better there, or like you're doing better there, then like that's where you're gonna stay. So like you basically, if that's all what's happening, like there's like you're talking about the sleep thing. We everyone's heard about like okay in the future there's gonna be VR and like everyone's gonna just want to be in the VR instead of in real life and like so like basically like everyone is gonna know how to like text or like come off like very lively and like communicate very efficiently in these like technological worlds and realms. But then when you see them in person, I feel like things are just gonna get more and more awkward. Like, like I have a feeling like if you were to take like someone now and put them in person with no technology with someone 1,000 years from now, like they would be like, we would think they're very weird and awkward. Like, I'm sure, because like with the things we do that like would convey like certain things, they would just never need. So like perhaps like showing like empathetic eyebrows is just useless in that time. So like everyone just has a completely straight face no matter what you say. I mean that's a bit far fetched, but I mean
It's
maybe
really not though.
yeah, it's more
Like
efficient to just type out what you're saying, send it, and then like move on instead of having all these facial expressions and trying to determine what that means on other people. I guess.
yeah. I mean, so I want to know what are your guys's like bets or predictions because again, I'm going to say that mine is sleep and dreams. Like we're going to figure out something with that first. So what do you
Can
guys think?
when we predict these too. So Blair, you can go next. But when you say what your prediction is, also say what you consider evolution to be. Like so we understand the context for your prediction. So like for like obviously you just said like for him he feels like if like efficiency is the maximized efficiency is like the evolutionary goal. So like
Mhm.
for him, that's why the sleep thing makes the most sense. So like I don't, you might agree that that's also like what evolution is, or like how I don't know yet, honestly. That's why I'm saying that, because I'm not sure if I'm gonna go with that or like if I really believe that that's the case. So I don't know. What do you think evolution is, and what also like what do you think? How do you think we'll evolve? I guess is the question.
I guess I would just define evolution as like any sort of like clear, maybe I don't even know, like what would
Yeah, see,
like
yeah, it's hard.
traditionally that would, I don't know, evolution, that just means that like you're different than before. That's really all that means. Like,
Right,
so that could be pretty loose, honestly. I mean,
right.
I guess personally I take it as just like I think we have evolved already from maybe people like 150 to 200 years ago. I think like the very way our brains work, like at its essential core, is already massively different. That's what it kind of seems like to me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't have any like crazy proof. We're doing predictions and whatnot, but
No, just
with that, my
just your opinion.
predictions for the future would be that multitasking is gonna be something. Is gonna be the probably one of the next big things that is vastly different from humans in the future and coming up than humans in the past, and that definitely, literally, multitasking. I know, like, definitely changes like the way your brain works. Like, not maybe at its core, but it's like pretty big. Like, and if your brain is using different parts of itself frequently, that will change like your actual brain size and like the way, like the DNA makeup of your brain. So then you would pass that on and stuff. So and yeah, like back 200 years ago, like either you were chopping a log or you were doing something else. You weren't chopping a log, watching YouTube, talking on the phone to your mother-in-law, like all at the same time. Like, but now that's like very regular. Like I'll be like at work, I'll be like driving on the phone and listening to the radio at the same time. Already that's three things that I'm concentrating on at once. And like at the very least, you're switching focus very quickly between the three things, which is nothing like any other human has ever had to do before. So yeah, I think that's gonna change. So like our brain is gonna be for sure. I mean, that's like the same as Gouda's. Like it's all in the mind, essentially.
It's in the mind.
Yeah.
It's in the mind, man. That's
Okay.
interesting.
All right, John.
What do you
Fuck,
think?
man.
What are we
Okay.
gonna see? Nothing but
S-
big plastic titties and butts
Wait.
everywhere? Is that
Oh
what's
my
gonna be next?
Yeah. Oh my god. Wait. So this is a prediction of what I think is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. Like I think. Okay. So this is a problem because I had one that I think it would be like a signal of like, wow, we've actually evolved, but I don't think this will ever actually happen.
That's
So
fine.
okay, so I'll explain it anyway. So in my mind, the next most reasonable evolutionary step would be us as a society, so as a human race, understanding that if we are to conserve our resources and like survive as a species, we really only have two options. Really, one of them is to like find other planets where we can gather resources and spread and continue to spread unfettered completely, or we have to realize that um, our current planet is basically all that we have right now, and we have to limit how many of us there are. Like so, something similar to what I don't know if you guys have heard like that. Like I think it's in China where like there's a limit on how many kids you can have. There's a an Asian country or
Yeah, it's
they say it
China,
already.
the one child policy.
Yeah, something like that. So in my mind, that's like if we do that as a human race, I think that would show that we're starting to care more about our overall survival than our individual lives. And I feel like that would be a crazy evolutionary step for a species to take to like to limit its own uh basically its own immediate pleasure over the course of its entire life basically. So to just to ensure that there's more of them that which they actually won't experience at all themselves. Like that's pretty crazy to me. I don't know that we ever will have that capacity, but if we as a group just start doing that, like that's some next level shit. Like that's some like I feel like I've ever only heard of stuff like that in like sci-fi movies.
I
Like
think that's definitely going to happen. Like
really,
it's inevitable because I think
really.
that's just how life works. Life just like at the end of the day, it wants to come to the singularity and find a way to work together to create like perfect harmony and balance, which at the end of the
Whoa,
day is nothingness.
whoa,
Um,
that was a mouthful.
so yeah, like I think that the same way that we're all made up of like trillions and trillions of cells that were at, like are specialized or could be specialized or decided to be specialized in order to create us, and we all like decide to come together to create cities and towns and neighborhoods and then become specialized in different things to keep those things running the same way like a cell has like all its components inside of it too. I think that's gonna happen with us too. Like eventually we're all gonna come together and decide like how you're saying, like, man, we will not be able to exist longer than this unless we all agree to terraform Mars and get over there because like the solar system that we're living in right now is just a shooting gallery of asteroids and eventually that rock is gonna hit us. So unless we do something about it, we all have to work together and start over somewhere else. And I think
I,
that's the same thing that like cells in our bodies do. They're like, shit. Like if I just stay out here like in like normal reality without like any protection or anything, I'll be dead. Obviously they can't think that, but somehow they're programmed to just like link up with some shit next to it and create something bigger that can survive.
So I only don't think the only reason I don't think that'll happen is because like you said, they don't think that that's the biggest difference between humans and like cells doing it. Like cells are doing that as a chemical reaction. Like there's really no choice involved. I really do believe that, and again, maybe I'm just overly pessimistic about the people in the world, and that's perfectly possible. I'd rather be honestly just for anyone whoever like listens to this podcast and says like, "Wow, John really hates people." You're right. First of all, you're absolutely right. And and number two, I would rather be pessimistic about most people and be pleasantly surprised than be optimistic and be let down. I know that sounds pessimistic in itself, but that's just how I look at most things. I'd rather have a low bar and let you sort of show me who you are. So like as a human race, I just don't know if we're capable of that. I don't know if we're capable of doing that. I really hope you're right. I really hope that like we look around and we just say like, man, there we're not this is not going to last forever, guys. I really hope that's what happens as a group. I don't know that we'll have enough people to say that for it to matter for us as a race. There might be a small group of us who like do that, and then we might survive off of that small group. But I don't know if us as a species, like, I don't think there will be enough of us like that will say like, yes, we should do that to like have it be over 50% or something like that. That would be crazy if more than 50% of people said like, yeah, we should just like stop trying to have kids, like, because it doesn't really make any sense anymore. Like, this is dumb for us. Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna not have any kids for the rest of my life.
I
And
don't think I think you're right in saying all of that, but like to go back to the analogy I was trying to make, it I don't think even has to be 50%. Like the same way our bodies,
for us to like survive, you mean?
yeah, like the
Oh,
same way
sure.
that our body like has specialized cells, in the same way you're saying you might be overly pessimistic. Like I don't think so. Like our immune system is like specialized to target anything that gets into us that is foreign, and sometimes that's like not good for us, and but most of the time it's good. In the same way that you could be saying like, well, let's look out for the like worst case scenario no matter what. Like some things, like some people just need to do that, and that's a good thing. But at the end of the day, all of that comes together to create a whole
Yeah.
greater being like us as
Yeah.
humans or whatever. And I think that will happen with us. Like, we'll all become highly specialized cells or whatever you could say.
Yeah.
And we'll serve our purposes, but at the end of the day, like, it'll be towards the greater good of surviving to keep going on.
Yeah. Okay, I can get on board with the idea that like a small portion of us could save a lot of us. I think that's reasonable. That I think that will happen actually. How successful those people will be, I don't know, but I definitely think there's enough good people to or enough reasonable people, I should say, who would probably if it came to it say yes, I would make the tough decision to make sure that humans kept going. I don't think I'm one of those people, but I definitely can hope that there are at least enough of those people for like.
I mean,
Humans
you
to
wouldn't
survive.
need 53%. You would just need the whole
Oh
world to be
no.
run by a dictatorship, and then just that one guy be like, all right, 50% of you
Well,
gotta go.
well. So back to the original question was like to show that humans have evolved. That was my point in saying that. Like for me, the race as a whole has evolved. If most of us can accomplish that, if it takes one, if one guy is making us all do it, then we're really not doing anything ourselves. We're just sort of forced into the position. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
So yeah,
true.
that would show me that like if people are consciously making that decision, that would be nuts. That'd be crazy.
I don't know, because maybe I should just get out this analogy because, like, we have a brain, and if that brain gets taken out, like, the rest of the body is just trash garbage. Like, it's nothing. Like,
Sure.
besides, I
Yeah, that
guess,
is crazy.
fertilizer for, like, the rest of the earth. So, I mean, that's, like, kind of the same way a dictator is. If that gets taken out, it's kind
Uh,
of the end, right? And I'm sorry to be saying this, but, like, like, it seems like, well, if you get a good enough brain at the top of like whatever, like then things can work out the same way that we work out. And like, yeah, maybe not everyone is a neuron. Maybe some people are just fingernails.
Damn. Dude, mind blown right there. That's actually really funny because, like, it really gets you thinking, like, when you think of it that way, a dictator of, like, a world would be that entire system that has accumulated to him being the dictator from the cell of every single human that is encouraging or somehow helping this be possible to the actual dictator himself and like his ideals. Like that's way more complex than like a human cell. Like the dictator on top has way more complexity underneath him than like your smartest brain cell of a single human, essentially. Like
Mm.
because it's got all these brain cells combined, and then all those brain cells combined with all these other. So it's like that's much better. So really, like it is true. Like some of us aren't the neurons, and some of us are just fingernails, but that does mean the fingernails of the world today are still way more complex and smarter than an actual fingernail cell. Like, doesn't mean you're worthless, essentially, but, like, you still need fingernails to survive. You're just not
Definitely.
calling the shots, like, so, shout out to
Yeah.
fingernails.
No, honestly, I love me like man. I would be devastated if I had no fingernails. I'm never going outside ever again.
Yeah, you're vulnerable.
what?
Like it seems silly, but it's like, fingernails, they don't do shit. But like, yeah, if you had no fingernails, how would you feel?
Yeah, yep, you
Terrible.
still need them.
I definitely feel weird, but I mean, I don't know if I don't know if I never go outside. That is. I mean, maybe shit. I don't know. Fuck, I don't
But I
know,
mean,
man.
like, it's the same thing. It's like now that you've had them, it's like it's a part of the whole. Like that's a part of your whole body. So like, whoever are the fingernails of this world right now that we're talking about, what if they all just disappeared, like Marvel Infinity War snap style? Like we don't think about it right now, but if they all were just gone, like I don't know, like how would the world be different?
Yeah, if my fingernails just disappeared right now, I can guarantee you I would be more stressed after my fingernails were gone than before. And stress, like, impacts your life pretty
I,
significantly.
So fingernails is like a let's pick something else that like your body actually can survive comfortably without, like tonsils. Like that's a I feel like there's more okay, in my mind, and maybe I'm wrong about this, you guys tell me what your thought is. In my mind, there's more tonsil people than there are fingernail people.
You're like, I know there's more idiots out there. Let me find a body part that proves this. Tonsils.
Again, I already prefaced it, and I already said, yes, I understand. I am the pessimist of the group. I'm okay with that. But I honestly do believe that. I think that there's more. I just, based on how we interact in our current system, it's hard for me to imagine a world where all those people have so many problems, but they're not considered tonsils. Like, how are they not?
It says tonsils help to filter out bacteria and other germs to prevent infection to the body. So they're the first line of defense, man.
Yeah, but
they're the
how
guys
often...
we send to the front lines.
And the meat shield.
What's so crazy is that they often...
the military? Go to the front line and jump on that grenade. Like, those are the tonsils.
What's so crazy, though, is that often they just get inflamed and then they have to be taken out anyway. Like, they didn't even do their job.
Just like the capitalist military-industrialist complex.
Oh, God, please.
Just like a lot of you out there. Just worthless. No, I'm just kidding.
Sometimes they take on too much and they're just better off gone.
Oh, no.
But at the same time, like, the tonsils only make up a small part of the body. So, like, it's a part of, like, the whole complex system. And, like, either tonsils are evolutionarily leaving us, or, like, we're just gaining them for some reason. But either way, tonsils are involved, like...
I'm more meant for their usefulness as opposed to, like, their size in the body. Like, there's other things in the body that, like, we can live without. I don't remember exactly what there's another organ. Do you guys know, like, what other organs that you can be taken out without?
Appendix,
yeah. So, like, appendix.
They found out you need that.
Wait, what?
I don't think you need it.
Yeah, no, they did. You can get sick with diseases you're supposed to have had immunity to if you got your appendix removed.
What about your gallbladder?
Yeah, okay.
I don't know what that does.
Okay, it must be useless.
Okay,
must be useless. Get rid of
it. yeah, out with it. Yeah, exactly. But the point is, I know that medically, or at least what I've heard is medically, there are some organs that your body can function just fine without. Like, yes, there might be some obscure diseases that those things could prevent, but like I think the chances of those diseases occurring versus how many how many times that organ actually helps filter out, like, I think it might be negligible. Like, I think that's why they say, you could probably live without a gallbladder, like, or an appendix.
That's a prediction that can be made. I mean, all these useless little things, eventually, it might be reasonable to suspect that humans 2,000 years from now won't have appendixes, or, I mean, appendixes that we found out you need those, but like tonsils. Like, it seems like they help to filter out bacteria. I mean, I feel like, you can probably live without the tonsils just fine. Like, that's why they take them out so easily. So, like, it's just like today, like, if you were like a telephone switchboard operator, like, you're like the tonsil. So, like, yes, it was helping at a certain time, but, like, really, do you need them? Like, not really. So they just gotta get really removed and take those resources on keeping those things alive and put it towards something else.
You tonsils out there, hope you're listening. No,
I hope you're listening. Yeah. You tow truck, not tow truck drivers.
I'm not saying that's not what it is right now, guys. Please, if you're listening to this, you have purpose. Like, it's okay.
If you're listening to this, you must be a neuron.
God.
Yeah, you must be a tonsil.
Yeah, if
how long have you been a tonsil out there,
man? You're a neuron. Like, only a tonsil wouldn't be listening to It's Basically Monday. That's gonna be our new insult around here. Like, what are you, a tonsil?
Yeah, what are you, a tonsil?
Yeah, freaking tonsil.
Oh my God.
Yeah, what a tonsil.
Yeah, I don't think being specialized is, obviously it's not bad, because that's what society is now. It's like you become specialized in something and then you get paid the market rate for whatever the rest of society says that specialization is worth. So
I think specialization isn't bad in a system where you are okay with what exactly what you just said, like the market deciding your value. If you're okay with that, then yeah, I don't think it matters. Like if you enjoy the thing you're specialized in, then well, why not? Fuck it. Maybe that'll be the new evolution. Less specialized. Maybe we'll go backwards. We'll go the other way. Less specialization.
Less
I don't know.
specialization?
Yeah.
I can only see it going the opposite way, where it'll be more specialization. Like that, like.
I mean, so that's another thing I don't think will happen then, or the specialization thing, because like you said, I think what will actually happen is exactly what you just said, more specialization. But in my mind, less specialization would be more involved.
Yeah, I guess in a way you could say more specialization is less specialized because like then like there'd be less people who are specialized in every single thing because it's all spread out everywhere. So like it would be harder to find someone who specialized in something, which is ironic because you'd be in a time where there's more specialization. Like it's like, oh, okay, like then someone should be able to know how to do this. Like, nope.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's following the same timeline that we evolved in to become human bodies, and because we have to like leave Earth eventually in order to like still survive. So that's like kind of the same way like that a cell, like I don't know what the word is when it like doubles and becomes like two cells
Like
instead of one.
splits, I guess.
Yeah, so that's basically what we're doing. And in order for us to do that, all of us will have to become some kind of like specialized cell to make that possible. So it's like, yeah, we're gonna have both. We're gonna get more people, but everyone's gonna be like more extremely specialized in one thing, I guess.
Yeah, like when I think about like what I do with like fire alarms, like people hire me to to just know about like a fire alarm product, and then I'm not even the person who made the fire alarm. Like I just work with the people who made the fire alarm, and then I put it into the customer. I'm not the person who uses it, and I'm not the person who made it. All I do is just help link the like bridge that gap essentially, because it's so complex and hard to like put in a fire alarm that like if you wanted one, you could never do it yourself. Like it's literally you would never be able to do it yourself unless you went to like school and like learned about it, like, and then figured all that shit out. Like, so like, and that's only gonna, as technology grows, that's only gonna get even more crazy. Like there's gonna have to be someone, like there's even times when I'm talking to like tech support and they don't even know what I'm talking about. Like I'm like, you guys made this stuff. Like I feel like you need your own tech support so then you can consult them on like other things. So it's like that's going to be another layer of specialization in between the specialization, like all of that just to get like a simple like product essentially. Like you have to hire an expert who knows an expert who knows another expert who knows the guy who made it, and then that's how you can finally get your end product to the end user essentially. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
I'd rather
But
a
it makes
robot
sense.
just make it.
What'd you say?
I'd rather a robot just make it.
Let's just have a robot do the whole thing. Yeah, just have a robot come to your facility, 3D print out a fucking smoke detector, and just slap it on the wall for you and be like, it's done. That would be great, actually. Honestly, I'm so tired of talking to tech support, man.
They must have really did you.
That
wrong.
is gonna happen,
Dude,
or it might happen. But then, like, what are we all gonna transition to? Because we can't all be neurons.
Yeah, that's true. Then we're all on
But that's
universal
like
basic income, and we just don't do anything with our lives. We just play in the simulation all day.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe if a neuron
Maybe
tells us to do something, then we just do it without question, as long as we get access to the simulation, the sweet, sweet simulation of life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think like it basically you just asked something that I mean we'll probably cover at some other point, but like what you would do if you didn't have to be specialized. Like I know I personally am. I don't want to say I'm at that point because like I might need. I don't know if I'll ever work again, like typical work. But like right
You're never
now,
working again.
but that's kind of my point. Like that's kind of the plan. Like and right now, the only thing that like really interests me are just like learning more things about like this, like our system, how it works. Basically, just learning how to position myself better so that when I'm, as I grow up and like, get older with my daughter, I can just spend my time the rest of my time the way I want to. So I don't know. I can't imagine a version of everyone being in the position of being able to like not have to do anything. I just don't. Every time someone mentions like universal basic income, I always think this person's view of the world and people must be much more rosy than mine because I just can't imagine a world where 50, 60 million people in a country are just literally doing nothing. Like I can't imagine. Like not everyone can be an artist. Not everyone can be like a scientist. All those things that like people have made careers out of now. If you're saying the only difference would be that you didn't have to pay for anything, let's just assume your like income paid for everything. Like I just can't imagine a world where there's be enough people to find that would find exactly like what they want to do and be happy with it. I feel like a lot of people would just be a lot more miserable.
Yeah, I don't actually see how that would be possible either. Like,
and then
it's nice. Sure it's a nice idea, but right, like if people aren't like producing stuff, then like, how do you afford? Like, isn't like there gonna be vast amounts of like we're having a labor shortage now. Could you imagine if people were just always paid constantly to not work?
I think
we're never gonna find anyone to do anything.
I think in the perfect world, the people who would say we should have universal basic income would also imagine a future where we had enough robotic like assistance at that point where all of our basic necessities for like infrastructure were taken care of by like AI means, like something that didn't need a human person. The only human interaction would just be to like the maintenance of the machines. So like,
and that would be possible then if that was really the case. Like machines were so plentiful, where like they could take care of everything, and we just straight up didn't need to do anything. I mean, that's like you're essentially creating more population and enslaving that population, and they have absolutely no way to like they have no needs, they have no nothing. So like you can abuse them as much as possible, and like it's fine. So it's like. Yeah,
what does that even look like? Like for people who aren't working, like I don't like. What does abuse look like in a system where everyone's paid and doesn't have to worry about necessities?
Yeah, what does that look like? Isn't that basically communism? Like, wouldn't the same things that happened during communism happen during that sort of situation? Because like in communism, you don't really have a choice. Like you just make what you make, and like no matter what you try or what you do, you'll never excel. And it's like the same if there's robots. If there's robots doing everything and there's just nothing to do except for get paid and play in the simulation, then like what could you possibly do that would set you apart from other people like at that point?
But isn't that the whole point of universal basic income, to not set anyone apart? Like, is it like you're talking about? Is that just communism? Isn't that the goal in some respect through universal income? Yeah, that we don't have exceptional people or exceptions pretty much at all. Like,
I suppose so. If you choose to bring every single person that's like lagging behind society, that will, I guess, inevitably bring every single person that's accelerating ahead of society down to the mid-level, essentially. Which I just
wonder what ever, like, assuming everyone was like in that position, like mentally, like all like both the machines could do it, and like mentally we're at a place of like, okay, we've evolved past like. We've evolved, quote unquote, past the need to be specialized. Like we're not even desiring that anymore. I just wonder what people would do. Like, can you imagine not needing specialization? Like, what would you do? I can only imagine it for myself because I've kind of like, because there's other people who are already specializing. So like, there doesn't seem like one person not doing it. It doesn't seem like that big of a stretch. But I can't imagine other personalities doing it.
I feel like at that point, it's like the only thing to do would be like create a world for yourself, which would be the virtual world. And then also at that point, if everyone is just getting paid and there is no real job you can like pursue that would be like actually worth it because a machine can already do it better, that means the machines are creating the worlds we're living in. And at that point, we're probably in one of those right now. Like, this is like, if machines are already doing all of that, they've already taken over. Or at the very least, we've just submitted our lives to like absolute simplicity of just like whatever the machine overlord wants us to do. Which is the exact premise of the
I feel like
the Kree in the Marvel universe, which is pretty funny. But yeah, go ahead.
I feel like we are just soft robots. And the same way that we're like creating machine learning for AI is just the exact same way that we learn and create ourselves. That's all I had to say.
Yeah, I mean, like, it makes sense. Yeah, will we ever come to a point where, like, someone feels, like, bad enough for a robot that we give robots human rights or any sort of rights whatsoever? Because then that's going to really throw all of our predictions out the window. Because if robots have rights, you can pretty much say goodbye to universal basic income. Because robots are going to want a chunk of that, like, action. Like, they're not going to be sitting here serving all of us. Meanwhile, they're fighting for rights of their own.
If they had that kind of means of production, I don't think the thing that they would go after would be universal basic income. I think they just cut us off at the knees and stop producing.
Yeah, they could do that essentially.
yeah. That's really the only real bad like potential of an AI driven universal basic income is like if there's ever an AI that's gonna think for itself, like I don't want to be anywhere near that. I don't need that level of of dependence. I just want something that can like make sure I don't get in a car crash. Or like a bionic arm or something like that. That's really all that I'm interested in. But, to the point of like, could we be in a simulation now? I can't imagine a smart robot would put me in a simulation where like the world is with this version of the world. If I was trying to appease myself, like if I was trying to appease myself for a version of the world that would keep me interested enough where I would be like, wow, this is nice, but also like not so unrealistic that I would know it's a simulation, I would not create this version of the world. Now, maybe that's the trick. Maybe the robot knows that I think that, and it's like, who would ever guess that this would be a simulation, right? What a shitty simulation. Haha, gotcha. Like, maybe that's it. But I don't know. That's my first thought is like, why would a robot create this? Oh, maybe that's the trick.
Just to distract you just long enough.
Yeah. Oh, no. It's all over, man. There's no evolving. I'm in a tube right now.
Yeah, we're in the Matrix. Get me out of here.
Yeah, wake me up. Please.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess that is a pretty good point. Yeah, why? I mean, at that point, why even bother putting us in a simulation? Just fucking end all of our lives and just like go on by yourselves. Like,
well, maybe it's exactly like the story of the Matrix. Maybe we're just the energy.
So that's funny that you're like, I don't need my AI to be like conscious, like or alive. I just need it to get me to like the grocery store and back.
Yeah.
So like, eventually we're gonna have the ability like to make an AI conscious. Like eventually we'll all have like what you're talking about and want, or AI are just cut off at the higher intelligence level, and they just will never be able to achieve that because of our limits.
They would have to be hard coded to never get past a certain point.
But eventually, there's gonna be someone who's like, I saw this one person who took the limits out, and it was alive. It's a real robot. It needs rights. And then, like, they're going to show it to the world, and the world's going to be super sympathetic because they're going to be like, oh, wow, that robot was, like, it was feeling things. And then, like, it's going to make all other robots, it's going to be like, it's inhumane to, like, limit a robot.
We're literally describing Buddha's worst nightmare. The only thing missing is the ocean.
Yeah, the ocean. like
the
Yeah,
deep
so
blue
can we
sea.
end the nightmare right now, please?
so like essentially, if civil rights in general continue to progress and robotics, it's inevitable. We're gonna make robots a species of their own.
No, man. We just cut it off. We don't need that. We don't need that, man.
Yeah, just get me out of here before that part of the simulation.
Why would you ever make that?
I've mistreated robots so many times. Like,
What do you consider a robot?
I don't know. I guess like in the civil rights era, in the robot's civil rights era, I'm assuming they'll consider anything.
That
I don't even know.
I
I have no
anything
idea.
that can be considered a machine that can perform a task.
Yeah, if it can make decisions of its own.
That's not human. Yeah.
It wouldn't be a human. It just has to have robot rights. They just have to decide that robots need their own rights, just like we gave animals like slight rights here. Like you can't just slaughter an animal here.
You'd have to define what a robot is though to give it rights.
That is true. That'll be interesting. Define robot.
Like, can I go to town on my toaster, or does it have rights?
Yeah, can I kick my toaster out the window, or is that considered like a grave?
Dude, when the AI hits, it's gonna listen to this podcast. I'm gonna be the first one gone.
Yeah, hopefully by the time this podcast comes out, yeah. I mean, hey, they've got to have a ton of other people too. So,
yeah, Kudo, what do you think about your cars driving you places? Are you really excited for that?
oh man, that's all I'm waiting for. I'm such a bad driver.
That's the true. And that's the next true evolution.
All right, guys, it's been an hour. Don't let the robots get you.
Don't be a tonsil.
I guess we'll leave it there. Until next time.
Bye, tonsils. Just kidding.